Hello, Tamara here from Postcat Crafts. Nice of you to join me today. In today's video we're going to be finishing off our landscape album that we have started. We've done the inside pages, so what we've got left to do, we've got our front cover and our spine, and then our back cover also to do. We've also got to make our tags that go inside our pages in there. We've done 3 of them because we did the landscape ones. We've done those, so now we just need to do the other 3, which is we've done the portrait ones. We now need to do the landscaped ones, but I'll go through the measurements again just in case, because we did do that quite a way back in the videos. If you want to watch this whole series from the beginning, I'll put the playlist up in that corner there. So if you just click on that, that will then start at part 1, and then it will take you all the way up to the end of this series of videos. This is taking forever to do this video. I do apologise. But there has been a lot of work gone into it, and so you can appreciate, yourself, that when you make an album they are a labour of love, because we just love doing them. So what I've done off camera is I had stuck in my pages, and I just stuck them in how I would want them to do. Again, that is entirely up to you how you stick your pages in. You don't have to have the same configuration as me. I just want you to note that on this particular album, I don't know why, I've used the double-sided tape, but I've also had to use the PVA wet glue to help stick my pages in. I don't know why. It's just they kept coming up as that one is there, so I might need to put that in as well. So you may need to do that as well. So that's why I've got my binder clips there, just to hold them in place. But as you can see, they're now fully stuck, which is brilliant. So they won't come unstuck now. So a quick look through the album. This was the last page we did using the cascading die, which opens out like so, and then on the back, and you can then obviously just goes into our little elasticated pocket there. We've got on this page, we've got some tags in a little diagonal pocket with some more embellishments from the Graphic 45 paper. This was exactly the same as this page, but I've put a oval die there. And then this page here was using one of the Tonic craft kits. Sorry, I can't remember which one it is, but I will list it in the descriptions down below what kit it is. So I've just used it in that manner with some magnetic clasps to keep them nice and shut, and some MDF embellishments. And here we've just got some little tags that pull out. This is like one of the accessory kits for the Keepsake memory book, the second release. So that it was from that collection. And I've just then put in "on this day and remember" is my little sentiments on there. And then this was the Legacy Keeper, which I've repurposed. And if we pull that up there, you can see inside I've got a little stamp there that says "place photo" here. Again, I will try and list everything in the description down below of what I've used. So then we turn it over, and then this flips up. It's like a hidden page. You wouldn't know it's sort of there, which I quite like. So you can, it's obviously journal and photographs and things in there. This one's got a little bit battered, I think, where I'll have to sort that bit out there. And then this page then is the same as this one, but I've just obviously put it in a different part of the book and I've arranged it differently. And then again we have the little tags. I think I've cut them a little bit too short actually. Sort of on there with some embellishments, and these are some more Tonic dies. All the dies that I've used in this album are from Tonic. I don't think I've used any dies from another company. I think they're all Tonic dies. This was a new, I think these are, I can't remember if these were called sleeve dies. I can't remember what these ones called. They've only just recently come out. There's a couple of them, but I've repurposed it as like a pocket, and that one is flowers. And then on the other side we've got this is a feather, and I've just put some more embellishments from the paper pack. I've just sort of the elements I've just cut out to use as another little pocket there. And there's some more tags in there. Again, the Legacy Keeper that we've got there. That one I've left blank, so you can put whatever you'd like in that part. And then there's another hidden little page there. And then we come to the last page, and this again is the Legacy Keeper, and I've just repurposed the verso cutouts to make a belly band there that's holding in some tags. And then we come to the back. So now we've just had a quick look through the book, we can start. Now I'm going to start with I think we'll start with the back page actually, because with the back page we're going to add in some we need some eyelets and our elastic. Now this elastic I got on this big massive roll from Amazon, and I got a white and a black, and they came in there with huge rolls. Obviously a huge roll like this, but it come in a little box. This is the box it came in. So Benny Create elasticated cord. Okay, so that's I got this from eBay. Not eBay, from Amazon. Okay, so if you just search elasticated cord, then it should come up. I'm afraid I don't know the width of it. Okay, right, I've got our dies out now. Oops. That we're going to use. This is the second from biggest page die in our the Memory Book 2 die collection. So this is the second biggest. Okay, that's what we use to create our pages, and then this one is then the layer die that goes with it. Now we're going to have to cut out one of the page dies in our craft paper. That's going to fit across there, and also cut your choice of pattern paper that we're going to need for the back, because we are going to then add our eyelets so that we can then start working on our closure for our book. So pick your pattern paper, whatever one you're going to use. I did think of what I was going to use, but now I can't remember. So I think I'm going to use this one here. Is quite nice for the, I'm sure I can get this one out the front and the back. Yes, that's brilliant. So I'm going to use that one, and the paper that I'm using for this is the Graphic 45 Gilded Lily book. It's an older style, older style. I think it was either at the beginning of last year, so I think it came out then. It could even be older than that. I'm on a bit of a Graphic 45 use up all my stash sort of mission at the moment, because if you saw my paper stash, it's kind of getting sort of little piles of paper pads all over my house. So I think I'm going to have to stop buying them, she says, after she's just now then gone and bought another 2 paper pads. Anyway, I digress. So remember, when we're cutting out our pages, when we're using the memory book, you don't need your metal shim. Now I don't, in my machine I'm using the Gemini. I haven't got a tangerine. I'm still waiting for the stock to come in for one of those, which I'm quite excited about when it does eventually come in, to have a go and use one. So for the moment I'm using the Gemini, and in my machine I found that if I use the magnetic shim, it warps my pages, so my pages curl, so they get like they stretch, so you get like a wave. So I take that out and I just use my metal shim, my embossing shim, which is that plastic frosted shim, and then the 2 acrylic shims. That's what works for me in this machine. But I would do a test run in your own machine before you cut all your pages out. Do a test run first to make sure that you don't get that stretch, because I didn't do that on my first album, and I'd cut all my pages out, all my pattern paper, and then when I come to put it together, it's obviously stretched, so it wouldn't lay flat. So just bear that in mind when you're doing your albums. Right, so let's get to the die cutting. And now we just need to cut out. So we could go ahead and cut 2 of these out actually. So cut your front and your front card. Sorry, get my words out. Right, cut out your book cover and your back cover using this die. So you might as well cut them out first. So pick where you want, what sort of pattern you want to go on the front, and I think I'm going to have that one there. That looks pretty good. Got Let Them Eat Cake. So I just need my scissors. Now I've got my new scissors here that I haven't used yet, so let's take them out for a test run. Oh, very nice. They're a bit strokeable, aren't they? I love scissors. I never seem to be able to throw them away though. Right, so turn that around, that's better. From our craft card, going back to that, we need to cut off this excess bit of card here because it's not being used as a page. We don't need it, it's just as the layer, so to speak. So I tend to try and measure it so that I've got about 1/8 of an inch. I cut 1/8 of an inch from the stitch line, the faux stitch line. Sorry, I can never remember that word. Right, so cut down. Now you might notice that I've got a different coloured blade. We couldn't get I couldn't get the orange one. They're out of stock, and Tonic are changing over all their colours to this blue, which is quite nice. I quite like the blue as well. I like the orange, but I like the blue as well, so that's why I've got a different one. It's not to do with a different blade or anything. That's just what it was. Okay, so we've cut that, and then what I would suggest you do now is ink them if you're distressing your edges but using distress ink, and then stick on your pattern paper onto your craft card. The one that we've cut out for the front of our book, if you just put that to the side, and we'll work on that in a moment. So let me get my distress ink. And then stick them down. Now at the moment I've got the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive. It's only because the Cosmic Shimmer is in my craft box, which is in my car, that I haven't actually got out because I've been crafting at the weekend, so on the go. So I've excuse me, got it in my travel bag, and I haven't had a chance to get it out. But I will say, this Nouveau glue, it doesn't seem to, what's the word, clog up as much as what the Cosmic Shimmer does. That's how I find it. I find I'm not wasting as much time trying to unclog my nozzle, so to speak, as with the Cosmic Shimmer. I don't know how you, if you're finding that or not. Maybe it's just the way I'm using it, but yeah, I find that's brilliant. So this may be, although I like both. They work both the same, and I can't pick between either one. But that's what I found with the Nouveau. As you can see, it's a bit used. I've had to do a lot of DT things recently, so my bottle's a bit demented. Right, so with that done, now you need to think about how you're going to put your back piece on. So it would have been, unless I'd have done this, I would have put my eyelets this side, which would have been wrong. Okay, so I'm glad I actually put it onto the back of our book. So you may need to do the same, because we need to put our eyelets this side. So what I'm going to do is, you'll need a pencil and a ruler, and either a crocodile or another punch that you use to do your eyelets. So we need to now measure our the distance for our eyelets. Now I'm going to measure from these two from these points here. Okay, so that point and that point there, so those ones, sorry, that one there and that one there. Okay, so I'm going to measure from them. Now I'm going to measure there, because that's 4. So if right, we're going to measure in 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so measure in 3/4 of an inch there, and then the same from this side, 3/4 of an inch. Oh, pardon me, I think I'm getting a bit of a cold, so please excuse me. Okay, and then if you measure it up an inch, so from your dot there, measure up an inch, and then again measure up 1 inch, and then dot. Okay, then you need to take your crocodile. Now I'm using the small, because you've got 2 separate holes here, so I'm using the small, no, beg your pardon, no, I'm using the bigger one, so that one there, which I think is the it's just a bigger hole. Okay, right, so off we go, and find your hole, and then try and centre the dot as near as possible to the centre of the hole that you're going to punch. I mean, it doesn't matter if you want to go up, but I just find that's easier for me to centre it that way. Okay, so then we're left with 2 holes like so. There we go. 1, 2. Oh, look at the state of my hands. I do apologise. I've been doing a lot of mixed media work this morning, so I can't get it off. It's gilding wax, I think. Right, now my crocodile, oh, excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with it. I think it's not, it doesn't seem to be setting the brads very well, the eyelets very well. So I'm using the big one that I've got here, only because that one is, I don't know, it just seems to mangle them. So I didn't want to do that on camera. Okay, so the eyelets, I'm going to go with the antique gold, if I can find this 2 that are the same. Yeah, oh, first time, that's very good. Okay, right, this comes the tricky part. You need to put your elastic through the hole that you've already punched before you put the eyelet through. So put it through and make sure that you've got the elastic is facing towards you. You don't want it this way, because that's not where the where you're going to have the closure. So it needs to be facing towards you if you're holding it this way. Okay, then push your eyelet in. Okay, it will fit in, just need to wiggle it in a little bit. Okay, and push it down. Okay, and then that's going to then act as our closure. So I'm then going to I think that's there we go. So that is right, the bigger one. Right. Okay, and then place your what you're going to set it with, and push down. Ah, that's so much better. There we go. Yeah, this one seems to be mangling them. Right, it's not just, I'm just going to flatten it just a little bit, just so that I've got no raised bits. Okay, you can cut this one off, but I would wait for a little while. Okay, now comes the tricky part, because we're going to have to try and gauge this as best we can. So that is the back. It's going to go this way. Okay, so we've got it there, so turn it round, so about there, and then we're going to bring it round to about there. Okay, you want it pretty tight, but not so that it's pulling on the thing, because you need to also allow for when you put in your own photographs and memorabilia, you need to allow for you know, for that bit of leeway. So I've sort of got mine as I want, so I'm going to just cut it off a little way before that. Put my okay, do exactly the same, where you make sure that your elastic is facing towards you. So it's just a little bit like that, okay, you see? And then get your setter again, and there we are. And then I'm just going to, you don't have to do this, but I like mine to be a little bit flatter. Now we can just cut these off at that, and so that they are a bit shorter. Now, to help it stick, we're going to use some double-sided tape as well as wet glue. The double-sided tape will stick it now, and the wet glue will stick it forever. I think that was a saying that John Lockwood always says, so and I think it's really good to help you remember as well. Now I'm using red liner tape. You could use score tape as well. I find those tapes are the strongest. You need a very strong double-sided tape to make your book. Stick our glue on. Now you will need quite a lot of glue because this is going to obviously take quite a lot of a battering, because it's going to be the back of your book. So you will need some quite strong glue. Now you could, if you wanted to, add a bit more of your double-sided tape. That's entirely up to you. Okay, I just like to make sure that it's fully done. Just put some along the top there. Okay. And then we just need to take off the red liner, like so, and then we can go ahead and stick it down. Now I would stick from the bottom that you haven't got the double-sided tape on, because that then will give you a bit of wiggle room to place it in the correct position. Okay, and then once you're happy with how you've got it positioned, stick it down. Now you may need to put on some of your binder clips as well, just for a bit of added stability. Okay, just so that it helps it to stick. And then this is very nearly then the front done. Okay. Okay, so that's that part done, and that looks pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that actually. Let me tidy up, move this out of the way. Okay, and then when we put our little thing on, that's going to keep that nice and securely closed. Excellent, brilliant. Right, now I think what we'll do is we'll work then on the front of our cover. So we've got our pattern paper already cut. Now I'm not going to add another extra layer of craft card onto this. What I've done on this one is I've added this in first. Now you can wait and put this layer on after you've added your closure for the front. It all depends whether or not you want to see the the bottom, the screw hole. It's really entirely up to you. I don't mind either way. I think it just adds a little bit of a decorative feature. But remember not to go in too far, because you need to obviously still get in your labels. So you could go to sort of about an inch in if so, or put it on afterwards. Leave this part off and then put the little closure on, and then put this one on afterwards. It's really up to you. I've done it either way, but I think I prefer to see the screw sort of in there. Just adds a bit of a feature. So I've already gone ahead and marked mine. Now I've worked this out at 4 inches from that corner to that corner. So I've then marked in the centre at 2 inches. Okay, I don't know if you can see that just there. Oh, you can. There we go. Just there. So I'm going to come in about an inch. But on this I'm going to use, this is the one I'm going to use the smaller 1/8 of an inch punch hole. Okay, if you use the bigger one, then the screw, it's not big enough to fill it, so obviously just bear that in mind. So I'm going to just come up, I'm going to go into about there, so I'm going to go in about 3/4 of an inch, and maybe a bit more, and punch, and then there we go. So right, I've actually come up a bit more, so it is such a good job I hadn't added my page yet, because now I can reposition it better. So again, you see, that's the thing, you make these mistakes, we all make mistakes. So yes, so just bear that in mind. Next, when you come to do yours, make sure that it's positioned correctly. So mine is sort of not positioned as I wanted it to be. So I want that to be sort of there. So I'm just out just a tiny bit. So sorry, I'm going to have to just put my there we go. Yes, that's better. There we go. So that's better. So I'm going to just put this one over the top, and then I'll just poke a pencil through so that I've got the correct hole in that. Remember to ink your edges. And I'm going to find. Right. So that's me. Right, I'm just going to poke my hole, and it was this one, like that. So there we go, it's that hole. Is just a little, I don't know what they call these, they're just like a filigree book plate, I'm going to call them that. I don't really know what they're called. Just to put on with my little knob. Okay, now these come from AliExpress. They are miniature furniture knobs, as do these are filigree embellishments. If you just search them, these these actually come from Amazon. These little screws, and I'm sorry I can't remember I will put them in the description, the size and what to look for, because I had to source quite a few different ones, because they've got the shorter sort of shank that they'll fit inside really snugly into the handle. Right, so we're just going to push these through now. You might need to just get yourself a screwdriver, if I can find one there. I don't think that is the right one, but that will do. It works. It's woman for you, isn't it? There we go. Just so that it gets, and that's good, it covers the hole that I've done that is not, that shouldn't be there. Right, so then this, I might need to make this hole just a little bit bigger. I think what I may do is just use the crocodile just to enlarge that hole. That might work a bit better. Now why didn't I think of that first? So if you've got a crocodile, just use that to enlarge the hole, and then that you should be able to just push them on. There we go. Come on, just stretch. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. I think that's it. It's going slowly but surely. Let's put that on, and I'm sorry if you haven't been able to see. I'm just trying, that's it, let's try it that way. It's getting there slowly. There we are. Oh. There we go. Oh, one more, and then that should be it. And then we can just put then the handle on and just tighten that bit up. There we are. There we go, and then it just adds a little bit of that decorative feature then to the front of our book. And then this is then going to fit over there, and it just keeps it closed, and then you've still got a good expansion, so when you put all your photographs and memorabilia bits in, okay, so you can literally stretch it if you've got that many. I don't think you will, but you know, it just gives you that extra bit. If you don't put as much in, you can always just tie a little knot in that to shorten it, but that's so far that's then, and then for we're going to do the spine now. So for the spine we are going to need some more of our pattern paper and some craft card. I've also got some little handles. If you bear with me, I'll find them. I've got some little handles here, and these also come from AliExpress. I have tried to source them here in the UK, but I've not been successful. So I sort of get them from there. So I'm going to use one of those, and then you need some beads and some sort of, like, if you've got any chain, and then we can make up our little book dangler for the spine. I've just gone around and just been collecting up some of my little treasures, that I call them, to use on for our book dangler. Now, the things I tend to use, I use a lot of tassels. Now, that's one thing I use. I use keys. I'll put keys on as well. I've got some smaller ones in there that I'll hang. I'll use gems that I find. You can normally pick these up in the sales, things like that. That's what I tend to look for, my type of things like this. So like gems, like dangle gems. These are pretty old, so don't know whether or not they'll still be available. But yeah, I just kind of tend to pick them up as I go. I've got some of these that I haven't actually been able to bring myself to use yet, because they're just so pretty. But I might just have to open them up. So there's those. And then also what I do is I go round our local charity shops, or if I'm away and I see a charity shop, I'll always pop in there, because you can pick up a lot of jewellery in there for next to nothing, like costume jewellery. So I tend to just go, if I think, oh, I like that, I can either pick that apart. It's like something like this, you see, I can cut into this and just use part, and then that then is works then as a dangler for my book. You see, it looks really pretty. So, you know, anything like that is a good source of memory book treasure, so to speak. So I've got a couple here. See, I quite like this because it's all it's already there. I can just cut it off and use that straight away. As you can see, I can just use it straight away. You know, cut it off and hang it up that way. And then obviously the chain you can then use as well. And it's a form of recycling, I suppose. And there's another one as well that you can use, like so. So I'm might take some of those off, not today maybe, because that's not the colours of my book, but there's those. I've got some others here as well. See, I've picked these up as well, them, but they're not the colours today, so I can't use those. And I've got some like charm bracelets as well, some charms. Excuse me. This heavy one, but I'm going to take bits of this off, like I can take this charm off, you know, and use sort of those. So just look for different elements, as I say, that you find. It's like, these are so good. I can, you know, chop these up and use them. I could even colour them. So yeah, have a look in your local charity shops. I don't know, sorry, I don't know what you call them in America, but in England we have like charity shops where obviously we can pick up these type of items for, you know, very little. So or car boot sales, even if you're in the UK, car boot sales. And yeah, so have a look. Right, so we're going to start with that. So first of all, we need to measure our spine. So for the spine, I'm not going to have any gaps. The spine is going to, the piece of card that I cut is going to cover the whole of the spine. Sorry, I keep working down here. Right, so I'm going to cover the whole of the spine. So that's 3 inches by 4 1/4. So I'm going to do 3 inches by 4 1/4. So 3 inches by, did I say 4 1/4? 1/4. 4 1/4 is there. So there we go. So that just covers that brilliantly. Use that side like that. Okay, so that is covered that up. Let's just check. Yeah, I want it to just cover, just slightly cover the top, so that from the side it's like a nice flush finish. Okay, so that was 4 1/4 by 3. So you need to cut your pattern paper. By 2 3/4. Get it right in a minute. By 2. So if I just cut that off. And 2 3/4 will be there. Now what I did, because I wanted that part, that lady, I chopped some off of this side, and that's so that you get kind of a, you know, central image. Hopefully that then will fit nicely in there, like so. Right, brilliant. So ink your edges again. Okay, so that's brilliant. So that's going to fit nicely. So just glue them together. And then what I tend to do is I just eyeball the little handle in the middle. Okay, right, so let's put this on. Now, the ones I've got 3 holes. I tend to put the 2 holes at the top and then the 1 at the bottom. Okay, that's how I tend to do it. So just mark them, try and get them as central as you can, and then just poke your holes through. That's all I tend to do. Ready for your brads, like so. And now if you these come from, when you get these, they actually have little tiny screws, so you may need to buy yourself some brads as well, just so that you'll be able to attach them. Or you could use glue, a very heavy glue. I just find that brads work best for me. Okay, so that's them on like that. Okay, now what I now tend to do is just put a bit of double-sided tape over the brad backs, and then that will help just help to keep it stuck down. Okay, we can stick this now down to our spine. So just do the same as what you did with the back panel. Is just lots of glue. Okay, and then take the backing off your double-sided tape. Like so. Like so. Oops. Okay, and again, position. Start to stick it from the opposite side to where you've got your double-sided tape, because then that gives you that wiggle room to get it into position without having the top stuck. There we go. Stick it down as much as it will go. Wow, it's starting to look like a lovely little book now. Look, see, when it's all finished. Near enough. Okay, so now we just need to make then our little dangle, our book dangle. So I use, now you don't have to, I use these, I think these are called crocodile, lobster claws. I think these are what these are called. I'm not a jewellery maker, so I'm afraid I don't really know. I think that's what they're called. Let's see. I did have some small ones here. Yeah. I tend to use these. I think they're lobster claws. I think that's what they're called. And I tend to then put our dangle on there so that you can take it off if you want to. Now, you don't have to use those. You can just use jump rings and attach it that way. I just kind of liked that sort of way. I think that one might be a bit too big. I don't know if that's a smaller one. That's the same size. I've got these ones. These are a bit smaller, but I don't know if they might be too small. I don't know if they'll fit. Let's see if they'll fit. Oh yeah, no, they fit. So you could use either one of those, if you can see. Put them up a bit further. There we go. You see the two different sizes there. Okay, I think I'm going to go. Let's go with the smaller size for a change. I tend to always use the bigger one, so let's use the more fiddlier one. So you'll need one of those and some jump rings and some chain. And you can get these readily available from different jewellery stores. Excuse me. So again, just shop around. eBay has got some really good sellers on there. Now I'm looking for them, I think. Okay, so and you'll need some pliers, some jewellery pliers. I've got some flat, I think these are flat nose ones, and just some cutters. And I tend to just try and gauge the distance. So chop that off. And this might be a little bit fiddly. As I say, I'm not a jewellery maker, so I might not be doing this correctly, and I do apologise to all those jewellery makers out there that may be watching. I've just picked this up as I've gone along, so please forgive me if I'm not doing it right. There we go. So that's sort of starting to look like our little book dangle. I like that word. I think that sounds really, that's quite a nice little thing, little book dangle. There. So now we can now start to put our bits on. Now I've got some little glass beads here. I quite like this little white one. I think that's really sweet. That's really nice. It's got like little flowers in it. Don't know if you can see those little, oh look, you see them. They go all the way through to the other side. Really clever. So I'm going to use one of those, but I'm going to have to make sure that it doesn't hang off the end. So another jump ring, and then I'm going to put it onto the end of our chain. It might be too, if it's too long, I'll take it out and put it on another ring, which I think it's going to be. Maybe not. Let's have a look. Oh, no, that's just perfect. So that's that. I might just need to use a different jump ring because that one didn't seem to go very well. Seems very quiet here today. We were due some snow yesterday, and when I looked outside the window, it was very eerie because I didn't see any birds or flying in the sky, or no birds were making any noise at all. It was quite surreal actually, and I must have stood for about a good 5 minutes before I actually saw a bird in the sky. I think they were hunkering down, waiting for our bad weather that never actually came. So yes, it was quite surreal. I've never heard that before. And today we've had lovely sunshine, and the birds have been out. They've been having their breakfast in our bird feeder, and having a good old whale of a time. Right, so back to crafting. Right, I'm going to put on a couple of keys. I've got a nice little lock one there, so I'll put that on. Little lock charm. Yeah. Right, so let's put these bits on, and then I might cut up some of our necklaces that I've got. So that's quite a long one, so I might put that at the top there, like so. And then all I do is I just kind of add bits and bobs as they go down, and to fill that up. That's going to fit. Oh, might need a bigger. I'll go on that side. And that can go at the top there by the key, lock and key. Hopefully I've got that the right way. It doesn't look like, yeah, so that one there. Then we had some little tassels, tassel on. Like so, there's a tassel, and what have we got here? This has got some little, it's got a handbag on, some keys, some beads. I could use the bead, so let me just clip that off there. Oh, hopefully, there we go. And we can use that bead. So we need another jump ring, and through there, and then that can go on to that so. I don't think I'm going to put anything else on there. I think that looks just as nice as that is. Again, you can do you can put as much or as little on as you like. That's entirely up to you. I've just done a little bit, so that gives you an idea. Okay, so that's our little dangle finished as well. So that then sits on the side of our book like so, and just dangles down. Our little book dangle down there. Again, you put on as much or as little as you like. I mean, you don't even have to put that on if you don't want to. You could maybe put a book plate on there. So you could use one of these book plates on the front as if you want to, like a label holder like these, and you could put that sort of there. Or this one would actually fit that side, so you could put that on there as well, and then put a label in. So if you've got a few of these books that you made up with, you know, maybe different each month, you could put your months of the year in there, you know, a special wedding, so anything like that. So you could use one of those as well. Okay, right, so now we're going to do the pockets that, not the pockets, I beg your pardon, start that again. We're going to do the tags that go into our page pockets. So the measurements are, I've done one already. Now we're going to need 3 of these, 3. I'm only going to do one on camera, and then you can do you can just rewind and follow that one again 2 more times. So for the landscape album, we're going to need to cut a piece of craft card that measures 6 1/4 by 4 1/2 inches. Okay, so 6 1/4, like so. Oh, that's okay, 6 1/4. Now I think that may, yeah, that's it jumped, so it didn't cut correctly. So let's try that again. 6 1/4 by 4 1/2 by 4 1/2 is just there. So, oh, I might as well cut the 3 out then. 4 1/2 and then I've got one more to do, and then that's done. So 6 1/4 by 4 1/2. Okay, so you cut 3 of those out. So now we need to get our envelope punch board, because that's what we've used to cut the depression in our pages. And then that what we're going to need to do is punch. We're going to use this corner here, and we're going to measure to 1 1/2. So this corner needs to be at 1 1/2. Punch, and then flip it over so that your punched edge is to your right hand side, and then punch the same side but on the opposite end at 1 1/2 again. Okay, need to do that for all 3. Okay, and then you'll need a self-healing cutting mat and a craft knife, or if you want to, you can use scissors. I just think you get a better, personally I think you get a neater cut if you use a craft knife. A more accurate, straight, she says, and then I'll end up not having a straight. Oh, I won't if I'm cutting in the hole there. So I just there we go, so that's one, and then again just line them up. So line your ruler up with the bottom of the curve. Okay, so your ruler goes here, from here to here, and this bit here is what we cut off. Sorry, I forgot to say that. So this bit here, we leave this bit in the middle and we cut these two end bits off. Okay, so I've got one more to do, and then now I round my edges off. I just tend to think that I get a nicer, a more professional finish. And I'm using the Crocodile corner chomper, and I use the, on these ones I use the 1/4 inch punch, the rounder, the 1/4 inch hole. Okay, and do that for all three. Okay, I'll only do the one, but do that for all three of them. Okay, so now we're going to cut the pattern paper. So pick your pattern paper, whatever one you're going to use. I'm just going to get one that I've got handy, which is this one. And again, remember your directional print. And just chop that bit off there because we don't need that in the top bit. There we go. Well, that didn't seem to. There we go. A bit more straight line. Right, so your pattern paper needs to be 6 by 3 7/8. So 6 is the longer. So 6 there. So I'm going to cut my paper this way. So 6 all the way down here. Put that there. So 6 by 3 7/8. 3 7/8. And that should hopefully fit just snugly in there, and it does, yeah. Round your corners as well. And then ink and stick together. Okay, and so you need to do that with all three. And then what I would also do is I would put some plain cardstock on the back, which I'll do now. And my measurements were 3 7/8 by 6. And again, do that for all three of them. And okay, so let's just stick them on. Now just to add a little bit of a different touch, I'm going to add some metal embellishments. These are just round filigree circles, so I just bend them in half like so, put some glue on either side, and then I position them in the middle of our little pulley and just clamp down so that they'll stick down. I may as well just use our flat nose pliers again, just to really get them stuck down. And then, so you'll do that with all three, and then it should then fit into our pocket. You can see, and that goes in there like so. And then you should just see the little tag poking through there, okay? And then that just acts as like another little decorative feature. Okay, I think, oh, one more thing. We'll do the so that one was the landscape tag, and then we've also got the portrait tag that we've done in the previous video, but as this is I'm doing the tags, I might as well give you the measurements for that. So the measurements for this one are as follows. So we need to then cut our card at 6.5. Let's go 6.5 by 4.25. 4.25. So that's then our tag. Then our punch board, we need to punch at 1 1/8. Okay, so from the corner, flip it over, and exactly the same, 1 1/8. And then what we do is we then leave this part, but these parts here come away. So just for quickness, I'll use my scissors. So just chop it off so that you're left with just that little, so you chop into the dip at the bottom. Okay, and then round the edges. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're ready now for the pattern paper. So our pattern paper measures, so I said 6 by, so 6 inches by 4. 6 inches by 4. And then round your edges again. And then that is then the portrait tag. Okay, I would then cut this side out again in plain card so that it's the same as those, and then see, I've got one there, and I've got some stamps that say this photo, this one, this life. Right, that is by Technique Tuesday. These ones are by that one there. You see this photo, this one, this life. It's got photo love, hello photos, photos are life, photos, hello life, photo love. For the pure love of photos, take my picture, it says. Don't take my picture. So you've got some nice ones in there just to put on you know, on your photographs that you've maybe taken, just to add a different bit of a different look, I suppose. So yes, Technique Tuesday. Right, so let's just put these into our book. So remember, you need to do 3 of those, so 3 of the tags that go in the middle, and 3 of the portrait ones as well, and they go into the side pocket like that. Okay, and that just adds a nice touch. I might just put these in here, and then they're in there ready. Actually, we add our so that's the end of our landscape book. I've really enjoyed making this book. It's I just love making memory books, but this one has been quite rewarding actually, because it is a lot different to how the memory books you know, are supposed to be used. We've sort of turned it on its head, so to speak, and used it as in a different way. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate every single one of you, and hello to all my oldies. Thank you for staying with me and watching. It's really appreciated. And hello to all my newbies that have joined. I really appreciate your support. It means an awful lot to me, it really does, and it gives, you know, makes me want to carry on and do some more. I have had a few constructive comments that have come through, and I appreciate them as well, and that was in the form of people wanting to have a supply list in my videos. I will, I think, put them as a screenshot either at the front of my videos or at the end. I haven't decided where I will put it yet, but I will definitely put them in, so that will start them from my next series of videos. So thank you for those people that mentioned that. As I say, very appreciated. You know, constructive criticism that you want, brilliant, you know, and if I can do it, then yeah, I will do it. So thank you for those. Anything else? Be sure to hit the notification bell, which is somewhere up there, because if you hit that when you subscribe, it means that every time I post a new video, you'll get an email into your inbox, so that you know that it's been posted, so that you can, you know that there's a new video for you to watch. So please remember to do that. Appreciate it if you tell all your friends. If they're into memory books as well, please share. Again, very much appreciated. I'm trying to get to, if I can get to 2,000 people that follow me, I will be astounded. So, you know, I would appreciate it if you did share it as well. Again, if you use any of my ideas in my videos, I'm very happy for you to use them. The only thing I would ask, if it's at all possible, if you would just mention me and maybe a little link to my videos, that would be brilliant. But apart from that, you know, any of my ideas you're very welcome to take and use in your own memory books, because I know as you first start out, it can be a bit daunting. You think, oh, I've got all these flips and flaps and I don't know what you know, how am I going to put them, how am I going to make them. So if I can give you that bit of creative push in making your books and your flips and flaps, then you will probably find that in no time you will have all your own ideas of how to make up your memory books. So yeah, so with that being said, I think that is it for today. So again, thanks for watching and sticking with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.